basic foundation. The logical architecture is shown. This unit's going to focus mostly on the reverse proxy. First, we want to set up our server. We're going to use Google Cloud Services, or Cloud Provider. It's going to set up. We're going to aim at the free stuff so we don't incur charges for this. So we'll just set it up, give it a name. We want to select East because that's where it's mostly going to get hit from. We want to make sure that we're using the F1 Micro. We want to use the Debian 10 Buster. Now we want to make sure that we're enabling HTTP and HTTPS communications. This will be very important later on. So we've created the instance, we're going to have it spin up, and then we're going to do some setup work in it. So go ahead and get into the SSH. Once we've SSH'd into our new VM, we'll do some initial setup. Of course, we'll do the updates. We'll get the get client so we can pull in some basics. We'll run our setup script. We'll make sure that Nginx is up and running. Now we want to copy the IP address. We're going to go over to no IP and we're going to set it up. I've already set it up, so we're just going to change the IP address. Paste in our new IP address. It'll take a few minutes for all of the DNS records to update. So we need to just check and see, did it actually update? So we'll just do a quick host lookup. We get back the correct IP. So that means the records have updated. So now we can go back into Secure Shell. Now we can see if it actually worked. So we'll just do a quick check to see if the Nginx instance is up and running. And we can see it is, but we also notice it's not secure. We use the HTTP transportation. So now we need to make sure that it's set up as secure. So we've got the domain. Now we're going to go through and do the exercise in setting up Certbot, and then we're going to run the SSL lab test to show how good or how bad it is. So go back into our SSH. We'll go ahead and run our Certbot command. It takes a few minutes for it to go through and contact and do the challenges. So we will not have any email notification come in. Once it's set up, we'll make sure that it's set up so it will automatically reroute the unsecured HTTP to the HTTPS. Now let's test it. It's just a basic test to make sure it's the secure HTTPS transportation. And we notice that our little lock icon is now locked. When we take a look, we see that it is in fact a valid certificate. You can see the details here. So Let's Encrypt does this as a free service, and it worked. The question is, how good is our setup? Let's go test it with SSL Labs. So we'll go over to SSL Labs and ask it to test. We'll fast forward through all of this. It does take several minutes. When we notice we get an A rating, there's still some improvements, but that's out of the scope of this video. So now we need to add just a trivial REST API to show that we can use our basic setup, our reverse proxy, to call a trivial API. Code's been provided as public up on GitHub. Anybody's free and welcome to take a look. So we'll go ahead and we're going to start up our trivial REST API using Python and Flask. Once it's running, we'll test to make sure that it's actually working. Just a quick curl command. We get back the results. Oh, sorry, we have to restart Nginx with a new configuration. So now we've started our Flask server. We'll do a quick test. We can see it works inside of the server, so we're not exposing this to the outside world yet. We don't want to. We want all traffic to go through our reverse proxy. So now we'll test it from the outside world. Simple curl command, and we can see that from the outside world we did get a response back, the correct response, and it is secured with an SSL Lab rating of an A. So we're doing very well at this point. We have a basic setup which is secure. Well, let's just do a few more tests. We did the positive, now let's hit it with some negative tests. So we'll see what happens if we just what happens if we go over and not include the S of the HTTPS. We should get back a redirect. We do. So now let's test further. Let's do some further negative tests. Let's see what happens if we try to hit the Flask direct. We should go to a timeout. So thank you for your interest. We've shown that we've got a secure connection utilizing SSL and Let's Encrypt. At this point, we have a basic framework which is solid and secure, which we can build the rest of our web application upon.